Okay, in our spotlight segment this week, we are doubled up yet again, another double feature with Star Fox and Star Fox 2, because both were on the Super Nintendo, kind of. And Star Fox 2 wasn't officially released. So I figured it would be good to just stick it in with the original Star Fox game. So the original Star Fox came out on the Super Nintendo in March of 1993 before the days of Star Fox 64 and Do a Barrel Roll were a meme. Nintendo took a huge leap into 3D gaming with the original Star Fox on Super Nintendo. It was one of the most technically impressive games of its era, powered by the groundbreaking Super Effects chip built directly into the cartridge. That chip allowed for polygonal 3D graphics on hardware that was never really designed to be able to do that, and it completely changed what people thought the Super Nintendo was capable of. You played as Fox McCloud, leader of the Star Fox team, alongside Falco, Peppy, and Slippy, and your mission is to defeat the defend the Lylat system from the evil Andross. And he was an exiled scientist bent on galactic domination. The game's structure, it's straightforward but incredibly replayable. You have three different paths that you can go down for a lot of the replay ability there as well. You pilot your Arwing through a series of on-rails missions, blast enemies, dodge obstacles. You got, like I said, the three different routes. Each route offers unique stages, bosses, and difficulty levels, making every playthrough a little different. And there's also secret exits to some stages that send you on other secret routes. So that's kind of fun. Gameplay wise, Star Fox was unlike anything else on a console at the time. The 3D movement, lock on shooting, and smooth sense of speed felt futuristic in 93. It was also cinematic. Mission briefings came over the radio with chatter for your teammates, and oh, it was just awesome. The presentation, it still holds up surprisingly well, in my opinion. The music is classic Nintendo. I don't know if it's on the Nintendo Music app yet, but it's definitely going to be at some point. And yeah, fun facts. In Europe and Japan, the game was released as Star Wing due to a trademark issue with Star Fox. I think it was a German trademark. Anyway, the R-Wing design was inspired by origami cranes, giving it that sleek folded wing look where it kind of like comes in and out. And bottom line, Star Fox was a bold experiment that proved Nintendo was already thinking in 3D before the Nintendo 64 even existed. It's fast, challenging, and full of personality, the kind of technical showcase that still earns respect decades later. Um, Do you remember what you thought of this game back in the day? Because I actually remember my first impressions.
No,
No.
N64, yes.
Okay.
Um, but
I
this one,
remember
no.
not understanding what all the magazine because all the magazine articles about this were talking about that Super Effects chip and how amazing the visuals looked and how crazy good these new graphics are. And I remember looking at it back in the day, even contemporary, kind of the way a modern gamer would look at this. I remember being like, "I don't understand what they're saying. It's all like boxes and triangles, and I don't know, Super Mario World looks like that looks like a guy, but this looks like a bunch of triangles," you know? I didn't get the 3D modeling of it all. Like, that did not connect with my I think I was in the 4th grade. That did not connect with 4th grade me. Um, and now as an adult, I get what they were saying, like, "Oh, these are, like, fully rendered 3D objects on a Super Nintendo game. That's impressive." They didn't word it that way in the reviews.
Super impressive for the time.
Yeah.
Uh, music is great. It did, did you mention Star Wars in your description?
I
It
didn't
was
mention it, no, just that, Star Fox had a copyright, which I think I've heard there's, like, a German Star Fox thing or something. I don't know.
because
I'll look that
the
up real quick.
because wasn't Miyamoto inspired by the X-wings in Star Wars? Like
I Wouldn't
wasn't
be
there?
surprised. I remember
Right.
we basically played this as like, "Oh, this is basically a Star Wars game," when back when there was not a lot of Star Wars to choose from, and, like, a lot of the battles kinda simulate scenes from Star Wars, like, when you're flying out of the exploding ship, it's like in Return of the Jedi when you'd be flying out of the exploding Death Star and stuff like that.
There's, like, great stories of the developers. They moved to, Johto to work on this game, and they worked in, like, the main office, like, the main building, but they were, not allowed to be in most of the building because it was, like, everything that goes on and then, like, in that building is very secretive. Uh, so I thought, like, hearing stories about that because, again, I'm always interested in hearing more about the development and what actually goes on, like, behind those doors and everything.
Mhm.
And also that Miyamoto was a big chain smoker at the time. So he would often come in, like, smoking cigarettes, which I didn't know, but I can imagine. Um, first using the FX chip, it was the second 3D game after X on the Super Nintendo. Um, a month after the North American release, they did Super Star Fox Weekend in America, other countries, I guess. Over 2,000 retail outlets hosted it, and it was a competition that had pins and other merchandise that you can find on eBay like very easily. Pretty cool. Like I wish Nintendo would host competitions to advertise their games. Like
Mm.
I wish I lived in that timeline. That
You
sounds
should look up the one they did for Link's Awakening, that one's really cool, where uh they sent everyone on a train ride, to basically advertise that you could finish this game in under 12 hours or something like that. I don't remember. It's a really cool. They gave a prize to whoever could beat the game first on the train ride.
right. They had um I forget how many winners of this one, but the winner in America got to choose either a trip or like $15,000, and he chose the money, of course.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, similar to like last week when we were talking about like Pokemon trading card game and going to like KB Toys and yeah, I think it's really cool. Also for Star Fox, Kellogg's had a game watch. So
I
there
had
was
that watch,
yeah.
and I was really good at it. I loved that watch. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up.
Right, and that's super cool, and just the memories of, like, the fact that you would, like, actually mail in, like, a check or a money order to a PO box, and then, like, a few weeks later, no tracking number or anything, like, get,
Hmm.
like, your item in the mail, you know? Just, like, sending it off and being like, "Well, I'm sure I'll get it," like, eventually.
Yeah.
So yeah, super cool and overwhelmingly really good initial reviews. All of them that I read gave some kind of credit or positive review towards the new chip they were using for this game. Um, is the core gameplay still worth playing, do you think? Just gameplay
Okay,
alone?
so I'm not gonna name any names, but I listened to a retro video game podcast recently that was really harsh on this game, and I was like, "Really? Star Fox?" I honestly, to me, I think it still holds up as far as on-rail shooters go, but they were very critical of this game. I don't think it deserves nearly as much criticism as they were giving it. I think it does hold up, yes. Long answer for that question.
Is it the best way to
The vis
yeah.
the visuals might be a little off-putting at first, but gameplay I think holds up.
But is this the best way to play it? Because there's 3DS, isn't there? Or is there's isn't didn't they, like, remake this
They
game?
remade the
Like,
Nintendo 64 one on 3DS.
oh, that's what I'm thinking.
Um,
That's what I'm thinking.
and I don't know if this version was on there, but this is on the Super Nintendo Mini, so you could play it that way. I'm sure it's available other ways too.
Which leads directly into the other one, doesn't it? Uh,
Yep.
yeah, so this is, of course, an obvious choice, like, you can't have the Switch Online service not have, this game. Um, it it feels I think it feels diverse enough. I think they make the levels look different enough for a game that is
Mhm.
overall, like, you know, not the most diverse with mechanics, it being an on-rail shooter, of course. So, I think
I
it
love the voice acting, if you can call it voice acting. Like, I don't like when it went to actual dialogue. I much prefer the sound bites, the burp, 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 burp. Like, I love that.
sure. So, I think it holds up in lots of different ways. Um, it has less nostalgia for me, and I can see why it was so heavily praised when it first came out. So for me, it's number 29. How about you?
So for me, this was a game I was all in on at the time. I loved it, even though like I said, I didn't visually, I was like, I don't understand what you guys are talking about. I don't think these are insanely good graphics, but gameplay wise, I loved it. And I was huge into Star Wars at the time. So, like I said, it was like almost like having another Star Wars game. Uh, I remember my friends had like Rogue Squadron on their PC, and this was about as close as I could get to a Rogue Squadron game on a console. So at the time, I had to wait to the next system. Um, yeah, anyway, I ranked it number 17, pretty high on my list, which puts it right below one of your favorites, Super Mario Brothers 3. So that's the neighborhood I've got this living in.
Nice, nice, awesome, awesome. And then the other one, I don't think I played. Yeah, I think I played until this week. The other one.
So Star Fox 2 was supposed to come out on the Super Nintendo in 1995. Didn't release until 2017 on the it had its well, it leaked online, obviously years before, but its first official release was on the Super Nintendo Mini in 2017. Star Fox 2, it's one of the most fascinating stories in Nintendo's history. It had a fully completed game that sat unreleased for 2 decades. Originally finished in 1995, it was meant to be the true follow-up to the original Star Fox on Super Nintendo. Pushed the Super Effects 2 chip to its limits, offering a far more ambitious and dynamic experience than the first game. But despite being ready to launch, Nintendo quietly shelved it, all because the Nintendo 64 was right around the corner and they didn't want an aging 3D Super Nintendo game competing with their next gen system. And when it finally saw an official release in 2017, fans got to experience what is essentially a lost piece in Nintendo history. You once again play as Fox McCloud, the Star Fox team. Star Fox 2 changed the formula completely, though. Instead of traditional on rails levels, it introduced real time strategy elements on the map of the Lylat system. You chose where to fly, intercept enemy ships, defend planets, um, and yeah, it's part action shooter, part tactical defense. It feels very modern for something made in the mid 90s. The gameplay itself is fully 3D, letting you fly freely in all directions for the first time in the series. You can switch between walker mode and fighter mode, which is a mechanic they revisited in Star Fox Zero. And the Arwing transformations feel pretty smooth for a Super Nintendo game. It also introduced new pilots, Melu and Lynx, and Faye, the poodle, which expanded the roster beyond the original four. The graphics were a huge step up from the 1993 original, and the new Super Effects 2 chip allowed for smoother polygons and more complex enemies and larger environments. So It's easy to see how this was meant to be the Super Nintendo's final big tech showcase. Unfortunately, it didn't end up being that way. There's also a lot of ideas in this game that wound up being reused in Star Fox 64, which Nintendo loves to do with their canceled projects. They're like, well, let's keep this. The Zelda does it all the time. There's so many things in one Zelda game that were supposed to be in the previous Zelda game. Um, Fun facts. The game was leaked online years before its official release, but the 2017 version was the first to use the final polished build straight from Nintendo's archives, or so they claim. Its mission map system directly inspired later games like Star Fox Command and Star Fox Zero. The Walker transformation for the Arwing was actually recycled and refined in Star Fox Zero on the Wii U. And that's all the trivia I have about it. Bottom line, Star Fox 2, it's a time capsule and a bold experiment that was a little ahead of its time, took real risks, and now it is out in the world. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I can't imagine the feeling of just like working on something so much. Like,
Something so groundbreaking too, like probably being like, "Oh my god, when people see this, it's gonna blow their minds."
yeah,
And
but
then nothing.
but then still like, all right, here's your money.
Yeah.
Here's probably more money than I've ever seen. So like again, I can't compare that feeling because
Work for hire.
they
That's work for hire.
some of the original team threw a party in 2017 when they finally announced the release of it, which I thought was uh pretty cool.
That is
And
cool.
yeah, it just shows how Nintendo has remained consistent for some things.
Yeah, they
Like
probably all still work there.
it's a huge investment to do all of that. And the developer of Star Fox 2 and well, Star Fox 1 says that he had nothing to do with the beta release getting out. But this is in the 90s, like, the beta release got released online back in the 90s before, like, hacking and, like, before a lot like, there was hacking, but, like, I'm pretty sure someone at Nintendo actually just went into his computer, got the game, and put it
Could
online.
be. We've also talked about on here before how randomly, demo carts and prototype builds have shown up so many places, like a used game store in Canada or something like that,
I don't think
yard
there's any
sales,
carts.
so
I think it was just on a
Oh, okay.
computer.
Yeah, but the demo build might have had a cart because
I
they
don't
came
think
in
it
like those
did.
long-looking ones? No? Okay.
No, I don't know if it did because like, they asked the developer if he had any involvement in it, and he's always claimed that he didn't. Um, so I would assume that means there was, like,
Mm,
never a demo card out there, but, I mean,
mm.
it went through testing, like, apparently
Yeah, it
when
was
they
finished.
yeah, apparently when they made the decision to not go forward, it was almost done, but then
Mhm.
when they made a decision, they said, "Let's go since it's already almost done, let's just go through all of it and then keep it in the vault," which is just so like, what? Like, just so crazy to think about, and then it's
Well, you
also
never know, like, I do get that thinking because say it's 1995, you're about to drop the Nintendo 64, you keep it because 'cause you're like, "You know what? Just in case, let's say we wanna bump our SNES sales a little bit next year because the Nintendo 64 is not doing so hot. We've got this in our back pocket."
yeah, maybe. Yeah, yeah, but it was still a huge investment that they s they did nothing with until 2017 when someone was like, "Hey,
Mm,
we should put it on this system that, is kind of a" like, the mini systems were kinda random, right? Like, they're
mhm,
not a home console, they're something else, right? They're not emulators, they're something else, right?
yeah.
Um, s so So yeah, I think it's I think and then watching modern reviews of SNES games are, like, super crazy to watch. Like, watching, like, people do, like, modern 2017 reviews of a game that just released for the Super Nintendo, I think
Yeah,
is pretty
it's
cool.
stuff like that, like, happens sporadically. Like, you remember they put out 40 Winks for the Nintendo 64, like 2 or 3 years ago? Because it was it's a PlayStation game that was originally planned to have a Nintendo 64 version, and it was printed in magazines at the time that it was coming to Nintendo 64. And then for whatever reason, I don't know this full story, it didn't. That version never came out. Well, like 2 or 3 years ago, they crowdfunded it and they released a brand new Nintendo 64 game. Like, I know they've done the same for NES games and Sega Genesis games. It's always cool.
What did you think of the gameplay? I'm kind of going past this part, but yeah.
So yeah, no, this one, I've never really been able to get myself into, to be honest. I kind of like the on rails element of the franchise. Um, I like when they have like one or two levels that's kind of free roam, but I prefer as a whole my Star Fox on rails. So it's nice as a historical element, but I don't know if it's because I'm going back or if back in the day, if they did release it, I would have loved this. I don't know. I can just speak for the actual experience I had, and I'm like, you know what? Star Fox 64 does all this better. I'm not really yeah, I'm not really into it.
I had it ranked
How about
just
you?
yeah, I had it ranked just lower, like just one lower
Mhm.
than the other one. Um,
Oh,
Probably because I don't feel any real strong way about the original. Besides that, like I think that it's great. I think this other one with the real time map really at like it's very they were trying to do a lot with this game. What am I trying
mhm.
to say? Like I think they were trying to, like, do some different things with this game. Don't like as much as the original. Um, I do find it feels a little bit more repetitive to me, so I think I would prefer the original more. But I do put this one at 30, and I think it does look very, very nice for a SNES title.
I ranked
Ambitious.
it much further apart from the original, but this is gonna sound like it's low on my list, but this, believe it or not, is still in the area of good games. I ranked it at 55, which still puts it near I'll put it this way, it's in between Mario Golf and Mega Man 4 for the Game Boy. So those were both games I still like. I just, like I gave all my reasons. It's just this one, for whatever reason, has never clicked with me.